Rooted in the rhythms of folk songs, this episode of Currents, Viva Mexico, celebrates Latino musical culture, past and present. Popular Bay Area band Los Sensontles and musicians of the San Francisco Symphony come together to create something entirely new, something entirely American. The stories and music you'll hear today dig deep into Latino traditions. They are about life, about love, about migration, about identity, and about pride.
Music is a way for us to connect to ourselves, to our families, to our mates, to our friends, to people close to us and people far away. And although music from various cultures can be very different in many aspects, I think they share very important commonalities, which is rhythm, which is sound, melody, texture. And it's been my experience that exploring these connections through music is a very, very powerful way to feel connected to ourselves and to each other. Mexico is a very diverse country. The many indigenous people before the conquest had diverse cultures. And when the Spanish came to Mexico, they brought wonderful musical styles. At the time, Renaissance or Baroque music. They introduced strings. There were no stringed instruments in Mexico before the conquest. So the native people adopted these European instruments very well. And so the musical form that's known as son, or the popular music of Mexico, were really informed by the indigenous spirit, the indigenous feel, the languages, but also the European instruments, the strings, the violins, the harps, the various guitars. So you have this incredible wealth of regional variety in Mexico.
Yo tengo tantos hermanos que no los puedo contar. En el valle, en la montaña, en la pampa y en el mar. Cada cual con sus trabajos, con sus sueños, cada cual con la esperanza delante, con los recuerdos detrás. Yo tengo tantos hermanos que no los puedo contar. Gente de mano caliente, por eso de la amistad, con un lloro pa' llorarlo, con un rezo para rezar, con un horizonte abierto que siempre está más allá, y esa fuerza para buscarlo con tesón y voluntad. Cuando parece más cerca es cuando se aleja más. Yo tengo tantos hermanos que no los puedo contar. Y así seguimos andando, curtidos de soledad. Nos perdemos por el mundo, nos volvemos a encontrar. Y así nos reconocemos por el lejano mirar, por la copla que mordemos, semilla de inmensidad. Y así seguimos andando, curtidos de soledad, y en nosotros nuestros muertos, pa' que nadie quede atrás. Yo tengo tantos hermanos que no los puedo contar. Y una hermana muy hermosa que se llama libertad. Ay, soledad, soledad. Ay, soledad, soledad. Soledad, llevarme a ver a la reina de los cielos, que la quiero conocer.
Ay, como rezumba y suena. Ay, como rezumba y suena. Rezumba y va rezumbando. Mi cascabel en la arena y yo por ti suspirando.
Even though I don't share the same cultural background as some of the music we do, I can still appreciate it and I can give it the respect it's due. When you think about it, I'm not German like Brahms was, but you know, I do my best on Brahms. I do have some Russian Jewish blood, but I'm not Russian like Tchaikovsky or Rachmaninoff, but I can appreciate it. I mean, it's what makes it so interesting. There's so many different cultures that we perform and celebrate.
I think if you look at a lot of both Mexican classical music, and then if you look at a lot of actually American classical or popular music, once people have heard music from another culture, they tend to integrate it into what they are doing. So the music of Europe influences the music here. The music coming up from Mexico, indigenous or folk music, influences the music from here also. It's the way of, certainly been the way of classical music all the time, is to include as many different thoughts and strands as you possibly can, which is what makes it so interesting.
Because Mexican music in particular is rooted in European early music, I think it's really, really important to connect the genres, to mine roots music from Mexico and other cultures, because there are solutions, there are aesthetics, there are techniques, there are secrets embedded in folk music that can become rich material for classical compositions moving forward. And likewise, I think that the musicianship that is practiced by these wonderful musicians of the symphony are a wonderful model and example for young folk musicians as well. There's so much that we learn from each other. Music always has to be about the process of discovery. That includes folk music. Folk music, and in a sense, classical music is in its way a traditional music. It's, where people are playing music that's hundreds of years old. And so to keep music alive that's old, that's traditional, or that's in some tradition, one must always approach it with a perspective of discovery. That's what keeps the music alive. Music provides us with not only this opportunity to express how we feel, which is not always easy to express, but it also offers communities an identity. And if you listen, for example, to Mother Rosita, this indigenous music and indigenous people who have suffered a great deal in the last 500 years, and I would say that clearly cultural expression is a way that the indigenous people have continued to hold on to their joy and to their dignity. It's culture that allows us to express who we are, but also to connect to who we are. I feel that the collaboration with the San Francisco Symphony in this project is truly a valuable recognition for our place in the ecosystem. You know, we're out in San Pablo, Richmond, which is far from Davies Symphony Hall. But I feel like the level of respect that we have been afforded through this process has been very rewarding for us. At the end of the day, I would like people who hear this collaboration to understand the depth, quality, and beauty of Mexico's traditions and Latin American music. I would like people to understand that classical music isn't something just from the past, from someplace else, that it's from here and it's in the present, and that our traditions are alive and our traditions are connected, and that there is an infinite amount of possibilities going forward. I would like people to see more possibility from this collaboration in whatever work that they do, that there's always more to discover.
Carrying our music and our communities forward has always been about migration. We draw upon our roots and create something new out of something familiar, something to help us navigate the world today. All of these vibrant musical and social currents feed into the world we share and the connections we all need.